inside the Crazy Ant Farm, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing today?
Oh, dude, we are living the dream, and we are super excited to talk to you. I think your story's a really interesting one, and I have no doubt the listeners are going to really enjoy hearing all about it and how you got started. And it's going to be amazing, man. It's going to be really amazing. And I mean, I'm excited. Let's just jump in because, like I said, the story's really, really interesting. I normally start these things and we ask, "Oh, so how did you get started in acting? Was it something you always kind of wanted to do, or that?" But for you, we did doing our research. It's like it wasn't even on the radar. It was like it wasn't even a thing. So you just kind of was like, "Oh, this movie's coming. The wife sent you an email." Talk about that, man. Just talk about the experience of entering into the acting world when you really had no plan to do it. What? Talk about that.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole big plan for it. Yeah, I just fell right into it. Man, it just started off with an email. I fought wildland fire for 17 years with the Bureau of Indian Affairs,
Wow.
and after that career ended, I started working for myself, and then a few years go by, and she's worked for my tribe that whole time, and she ended up getting an email and a big announcement was a big Scorsese film and a big audition happened in Oklahoma City at the time. And she told me to, you're kind of got a flexible schedule. Why don't you get it on up there and try out for it? And I've always wanted to be a part of a motion picture. I just didn't know I was going to be a part of it like this.
Oh,
Yeah, most definitely. Because I mean, yeah, your first one out, you're a part of a Martin Scorsese film, like you
I
just said, Killers of the Flower Moon. And then not only that, but the majority of the scenes that you have are with the legendary Leonardo DiCaprio. So you are already able to have this like master class of acting and being on set in such a huge grand scale, and the magnitude that you were able to pull off this character was awesome. Because you and Leo, your characters had a little beef going on, and like you guys were good at sometimes and you were bad at sometimes. So to be able to have that be your first experience with it, I'm sure was amazing, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was, well, I mean, I literally grew up watching Leo. I mean,
Yeah.
my God, it was to keep from not fanboying it out, I mean, I had to keep it all together. But yeah, it was a great experience. I really couldn't believe I was there with him, to be a
oh.
part of it with him.
I tell you, like, with so many questions. One, were you able to use your background with the firefighting and everything that you had kind of done over your life? Were you able to utilize or bring any of that into the experience on set and acting, and or how you brought into the character a little bit? Talk about how you go from where you came from and then, okay, now I'm acting. I'm acting against one of the best actors of our generation, and I've never done this before. What can I bring to the table that's going to make this work for me? Talk about that process a little bit.
And I mean, I don't know. I think all I had to bring to the table was just be myself. And if any of my training or any of my past career experiences had anything to do with anything, was to keep my calm, to be calm in a high stress situation. And for me, yeah, that was a high stress situation.
No
I
doubt.
mean, I wasn't fighting fire, but I was with some legends. I mean, uh, just discipline and keeping it together is where it all really came from, and just that high stress level and running at that high that RPM, if you will,
Yeah.
that really helped me out. So, especially being away from home, the setup was pretty neat. The When we were on set, out in the field, that was a lot of similarities. Wildland fighting fire with everybody, kind of eating, taking breaks with everybody, get to know everybody. So, yeah, a lot of it was a pretty cool setup. A lot of the logistics part of it.
That's
Nice.
really cool. Yeah, because like I said, you're getting like that on-hand experience of masterclass. And I mean, with there being like, multiple different versions of learning, I myself am a very hands-on person. So to be able to have that type of hands-on experience would probably make me less anxious than I would be going to like say an acting class first or going to film school first and then going here, because with all of the preparation and schooling and being able to learn the craft, that does also come with a lot of anticipation. And I think that's where a lot of my anxiety comes from, is that anticipation time. I would rather much just jump into it. Let's do it. pick up a camera, let's shoot. Let's be with these other like-minded creative individuals, which I mean, you definitely were able to. And let's start at the very beginning of this whole process because you said that, it all started with an email. Your wife did recommend you to send an email and to start that whole process. Did you only have to audition once, or did you have to go back and send in multiple self-tapes, or how did that go?
Well, actually, it was a or not a self audition, but a live audition.
Nice.
And I went up to Oklahoma City. I stood in line. I was watching people going to one set of double doors. They were coming out another set of double doors. The line was going really quick. This was kind of on a bucket list I had to do. I wanted to be in a motion picture, but again, like I said, I had no idea I was going to have this part in a motion picture. So I was, in my mind, I was, man, I'm going to check this off the old bucket list. I've done it. I at least ran through an audition. So as I was going through the line, it was going pretty quick. So I wasn't thinking nothing of it. They got my height, my size, I think my size of my clothes, wardrobe and all that. They took a picture. And after the picture was taken, I was like, man, if that's it, I did it. So I was walking up the double doors, and then someone grabbed me by the arm. They asked me, would you be interested in being in a motion picture? Absolutely. So I went out one set of double doors, right back through another set of double doors. I was given a script, and she said, it'll be about 30, 45 minutes. And if you can memorize it, it would be best. But if not, don't worry about it. And I went in for the very first audition, and Miss Ellen Lewis was there. And I did it. I said my lines, and she asked right after that if I would be interested in coming back the following day. It all happened on Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So I went up Friday. I went back on Saturday. I guess that would be the second callback. So I went in on Saturday. She asked for me to do the lines again of the first audition. I did. And then she asked, would I be willing to do a larger audition for a larger role? I said, sure, why not? I drove up here to do this, so yeah, you bet. So again, they gave me the script, the pieces I needed, and had an assistant sit with me, and we ran through the lines, 30, 45 minutes. She asked if I was ready. I said, sure, I'm ready. Let's do this. So I went in there, and it's just a funny audition to me because it had some profanity in it that I was not accustomed to saying in front of women.
Mm-hmm.
And as I went and did the second callback, it was Miss Renee Haynes, Ellen Lewis, and their host staff was up there, and it was nothing but women sitting on the other side of me with the camera. And I'm sitting here kind of going, well, if I want to do this, I've got to, I got to say it. So I ran through the lines, I ran through the script, and she said, perfect. That's awesome. Thank you very much. And she told me, we'll be getting a hold of you. We'll call you or text you or something. We'll be getting a hold of you, email, whatever. I said, great, perfect. And that was it. The weekend was over. I went home. And then that Monday is when COVID hit, and then it shut down everything.
Yep.
So it was over with. I thought it was over with. Everything was postponed for a while. So it was a whole year, almost exactly a whole year. I believe the audition was in October, and they called me back in November, or vice versa, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back to work. You still gotta pay bills.
Yep.
I don't care if
Exactly.
COVID's going on or not. So I went back to work for a whole year, almost that whole year. I'm thinking, well, they'd have called me by now. I didn't think anything of it. Just went by a whole year. And one day I get a phone call, and on your cell phone, it's either spam, risk, or something,
Mm-hmm.
or just a total different county or state. And it said New York. And I said, man, I don't know nobody from New York. I'm thinking spam or something. So I hang up. I go back to work. I'm sitting there cleaning the floors and all this, and then I think it took me about 10 or 15 minutes, and I go, you know what? I do know somebody from New York, so let me call them back. And sure enough, it was Miss Ellen Lewis's office, she asked again if I was interested in the role, and I said yes. And she said, okay, we're going to set up a couple more auditions. And I had a few more with her. And then the last audition was with Marty and Leo. And
Mm.
it was Zoom, of course, at that time. It was over
Yep.
Zoom. So I got ready for the audition. And that day, like I said in another interview, I was surprised they didn't catch me on the floor just fainted out. So it was something that I had Marty. I tell everybody I had Marty and Leo in my living room. So
I
Right.
I
it
just
was
I first of all, I love that you got to experience old school and now how it's done. Because
yeah.
since COVID, it's all there's no more cattle calls. There's no more walking into rooms. It's all Zoom now. So the fact that you got to experience for the very first time doing it, the cattle call, walking in the room, getting the measurements, doing the and the Zoom call process, like that's first of all that's amazing. And I kind of get this vibe that you're an old school guy because you keep calling it a motion picture, which I love. Which I love. You're not saying, yeah, I wanted to be in the movie. I wanted to be it's motion picture, which fantastic because I love that. I'm old school too. But
All right.
so did you find it difficult to do because that read with and can we just say the fact that you can call him Marty, kind of jealous. Mr. Scorsese, I'd still be Mr. Scorsese, but you go with Marty. That's awesome. Was it a bit more challenging to kind of do the chemistry read? Because for all of our listeners out there who might not be familiar, by the time you get to that stage, it's chemistry. They're checking to make sure that the chemistry is there between you and the lead, because you're going to be in that scene. So, did you think that process was a little bit more difficult via Zoom? Do you think you would have rather have done that in person, or talk about that a little bit? Because sometimes that's not easy.
Yeah, I thought doing it from being live with Miss Lewis and doing it in front of them was I did like it a lot better. Just because they could see you.
Yeah.
And when you did it over Zoom, you kind of have a barrier, kind of like this right here. Just like you said, you don't get that. If is it going to work? Is it not going to work?
Right.
You don't get that live feeling. But I mean, Miss Lewis and Miss Renee Haynes, they work for Marty for a reason, and Marty put all their trust in them. And I mean, and all I could do was just be myself and go. So, and what you're getting is who you get every day from Tommy Schultz anyway. So I don't try to mask anything. So, this is who I am, and this is who you get. So I was just being myself and trying not to faint as we did this beautiful audition together. So I would have preferred live and face to face, but you got to trust the experts on this. I'm
That's
just
right.
starting.
Well, you're doing great. You're doing great. That's for sure. And someone else who is really doing great, especially from this film, Killers of the Flower Moon, was the one and only Miss Lily Gladstone. She absolutely, she made the film for me. She completely, every scene she was in, she stole the picture. That's for sure. So talk about her influence on set and then how that also expose the Native American community to a more wider audience as well, because I feel like everybody who has been watching the award season all the way up, even past the Oscars, was learning so much about the Native American culture through Lily. So it was such an amazing experience to be able to see everything that she stood for and the amount of exposure that was given to your culture was absolutely amazing. So talk about how that whole experience you feel like possibly changed people looking for these type of roles, right?
Oh yeah. It was during COVID, so we didn't get to really mingle a lot, but I did get
Right.
to meet Lily. We get to talk a little bit. But I think we got to talk more after COVID, of course, than we did the movie. But for Marty to tell the story the way he does and to captivate it the way he does and to open up eyes the way he does and to involve the Native American, the Osage Nation, and all the natives that were involved, such as myself, the Chickasaw Nation, being a Chickasaw native myself, it I I hope and feel that it has opened up a lot more for everybody across the country a little bit, that, or anyone that's seen the movie a little bit, that maybe they want to get a little bit more interested in their surroundings. Because, man, all lower 48 states and Alaska, they've all got native tribes somewhere,
Yep.
some kind of history. And I think, stories like this tell atrocities. And I've said this before, all of our tribes, we all have a trail of tears,
Mm-hmm.
They're all a little different, but they're all still a trail of tears, and they're just haven't been told, like the Osage Nation story got to be told, and that was very, oh man, mind blowing for me, and very eye opening also, as well as being a Native American, because being in Oklahoma, we were never told this history of the Osage Nation, and that's one of the biggest nations in Oklahoma.
Right.
You don't hear about, for your Oklahoma history or anything like that. You continuously hear about the same old history, nothing
Yep.
different.
Yep.
So even at this time, the Tulsa riots was brought kind of a little to light. Marty
Mm-hmm.
brought them in there a little bit, and at the same time, all this was happening, all that was happening. So it was very, very eye opening for me, just to experience. And I went back and I started reading up on the Osage Nation too. It's so interesting. You live in a state your whole life, and you don't get told the whole story about the whole state, or just a little part of it. So I hope it inspired a lot of people to just kind of dwell a little bit deeper into, where they're at, where they're living at, and what's happened around them before they even got there.
Well,
There's a bigger story to everything.
so Logan and I talk about this all the time amongst ourselves and with our guests and stuff. If we can use this platform, art, to educate and start conversations and clue people in to start talking about things that they wouldn't normally talk about, then that's a great tool. If we can entertain and educate, that's the best of both worlds. And I feel like this film definitely did that. Like you said yourself, you went back and started going, whoa, I got to learn more about this. I didn't know about this, or I didn't talk about, So I love when films do that. And what a benefit for you, because this was a passion project for Scorsese. He was like something that he had been wanting to do and tell this story for such a long time, and to finally see it happen and then be a part of that. And I'm also very curious, because you're the first person that we've talked to that's worked with Marty. What type of a director is he? Is he a very actor-friendly director? Does he give you some leeway, or is he very strict to what he wants? Talk about that a little bit with Marty, and then same thing with Leo. How is he as a scene partner? Is he very forgiving? Does he work with, or is he like, get it right, say your lines, kind of? What was that like?
Let's start with Marty first. Marty, very friendly, very actor friendly. I felt he was. They treated me very well. He was very loose. I'm not going to say loose. That's the wrong term. But he gave me the freedom. He did give the actors the freedom. If it sounded okay, then try it this way. If you had an idea, he'd listen to you and go, all right, it's either no or yes. I mean,
Yep.
I asked a couple of times, and I mean, you can't be scared to ask somebody about something. It's either no or yes. It's not
Mm-hmm.
chop your head off and you're gone, So he was very actor friendly, I felt, and very welcoming and warming to me. I mean, shoot, there was people calling him Uncle Marty out there for, the entire time. So I just got to call him Marty. So
Yeah.
I didn't get to call him Uncle Marty, but Marty. But Leo was good. He was very friendly with me. He was very encouraging. For the most part, and he had some advice for me too. He's had some suggestions for me also, and it kind of went back and forth. I think about the card playing scene, the poker scene.
Mm-hmm.
When we're behind the scenes there, we were me and a couple of the other guys that were on the poker table. We were figuring out, well, what game are we playing? What game are we supposed to be playing? And so we're sitting off set, trying to figure it out. And then one of the guys, Bo Smith, sit there and asked, I think that's Leo over there in his car. I guess he was in his vehicle waiting. And I didn't notice. I thought he was just messing with me. So I turned around. I said, well, tell him to get over here. He's got to play this card game too. And so I just turned over to the vehicle, waved him over, and I was just jacking around. I try to keep things lighthearted. And next thing I know, Leo jumps out of the vehicle, comes walking over, and we start going over the card game. And then he goes, well, what a card game exactly is it supposed to be? When the A piece gets on the horn, he finds out what card game. And we sit there and we make up the whole card game. We sit there and he's really interacting with all of us, and we throw the cards down. This is what this guy's going to have to win, and this is what Leo loses with. And it was very, very awesome. Shoot, again, try not to fanboy out.
Yeah,
sitting there playing cards with us.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's incredible.
It's phenomenal, man.
Yeah.
I love that too, because Leonardo DiCaprio is my favorite actor. So I love to hear that he's actually a good person too, because you never know in Hollywood. I mean, right? I mean, there is that dark side of Hollywood where people let the fame and the ego and everything get to them, especially when they were doing this when they were very, very young, like himself. So that's very awesome to hear that he's still a humble human being that is able to take the craft very seriously, but also still able to have fun and still able to create different things in his head to be able to brainstorm with his fellow cast and crew to be able to come up with this card game. I think that's so freaking cool. But something that we really like to do that rounds out our interviews that I think is really going to be good for this conversation specifically is our popcorn questions. Now, this is 5 different questions that have to do with your life in particular, and of course the shooting of the film in the movie, and to be able to get it to come to fruition. And this first one is kind of different from the ones we've done in the past, but I'm just very curious with the magnitude of this set, with the cast that you have: Leonardo DiCaprio, freaking Robert De Niro, huge, and I mean so many others. Were you intimidated your first day on set?
I think I was more intimidated by the cold the first day on set. But yeah, absolutely, I was intimidated. Absolutely. I how can you not be intimidated? I mean, they pick a guy out of a crowd of 2,500 people, and they pick me. Of course, I was intimidated. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Intimidated and blessed at the same time.
There we go.
Okay. So this, I'm really curious for the answer for this one, because you come right out of the gate and you got Bobby De Niro, Marty Scorsese, and Leo DiCaprio. So this is going to seem like an odd question, but we've got to know the answer now. If you could work with anyone in the future, who would it be? Because I mean, it's hard to Bobby, and I feel like, how do you top that? But who would you want to work with in the future if you could?
How about this? I would love to work with anybody who would love to work with me and give me an opportunity.
That's a great answer. That is a phenomenal answer. I love that.
It is. I really do. That one, and one of our other past guests that we've had on this year, he said, I just want to work with my friends. That's all. If we're having fun, if we're living life, if we're being creative and being able to stretch that creative muscle, that's really all that matters. As long as we're happy at the end of the day, that's all that matters, man. That's all that matters.
Right there. I just want to work and entertain and, make people feel good about themselves, or make them hate me as a victim or an outlaw,
right.
Whatever.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yes. Which you did great, by the way. You're a great outlaw. This one's kind of interesting. I'm really curious too, because I'm assuming you're going to continue to try to act, right? Are you going to continue to try to move forward with this career path?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys. I tried to update my bio last night so I could give y'all some good information, and I don't know what happened on that. It was horrible. So it was a horrible bio, I thought, but the one I redid and thought it saved was excellent. But the information I did, yes, absolutely, I want to continue this. And I just recently got finished making a movie with Lou Diamond Phillips in February called Keep Quiet. Yeah.
Wow. This guy's killing it. You're killing it, man.
Talk about another legend. That's awesome.
So, there you go. If I was to say anybody, Lou Diamond Phillips would have been the number 2 guy right there.
There you go.
There it is.
already knocked it out. So
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna get deep with this one though, because this one we always are very curious because your story is amazing. So I really would like to know if you could go back in time and tell your 10-year-old self something, what would you say?
I tell them, go ahead and go to drama class, man. Just try it out. And just
Get started a little earlier, huh?
get started a little early. Just try it out and see what happens.
I love that, man. I love that. That's so
Right,
awesome.
because I mean, you're not afraid to try things.
No.
Like you said, the 17 years as a firefighter, and I saw you did a little mixed martial arts. I mean, that was very interesting as well. So like I'm curious too, like was that something just a little bit more of like a passion thing? Did you want to try it out? Did you want to channel some energy any type of way? How did that come about? I'm curious.
Well, actually, I was doing it while I was a wildland firefighter. And to be quite honest, guys, I used to weigh 260 pounds, believe it
Wow.
or not. Yeah, I'm down to 175, and I've kept it down for quite a while. And it really just became, I wanted to stay fit,
Mm,
a little more fit, and get in shape. And a little bit of adrenaline junkie, of course, if you're fighting wildfire.
sure.
And that replaced a lot of it, especially when my job ended. It really replaced a lot of that high intense stress level, if you will. And I saw it as a kid when I watched Hoist Gracie in his first UFC.
Oh
And I,
my
and I
gosh,
saw him,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, he never threw a punch. If I want to be totally honest, that's when I first fell in love with jujitsu. I saw him choke
Mm.
a dude with his gi, and the dude tapped out. You're like, what? He didn't even throw a punch.
Exactly.
It was like black magic, man. And so, of course, life happens, and through the years, stuff takes its place. And I finally found it. There was a gentleman that brought it to Ada. We jumped into the class, we jumped into the gym, and it was a wildfire from there. And I just am passionate about it and love it.
Yeah.
I recently this year it was in my bio I rewrote, but this year actually on January 1, 2024, me and a friend of mine, Matt Lindy, we opened up our own martial arts gym called Level Ground
Wow.
Jiu-Jitsu here in Ada. So
Nice.
Wow.
yeah.
Congratulations. And congratulations on losing the weight too, because
Oh,
I
thank you.
mean, Dustin and myself also battle with, weight problems, and we're trying to get that under control, being more with exercising and eating better and all the good things,
Yeah,
because mental health is a big thing for us, and we know that exercise plays heavily into one's mental health. So, I mean, like we
absolutely.
said, congratulations on that, man. That's a big, big freaking step. And I know you're very early on yet, but the last question is, are you happy with your career so far?
Yeah, I'm happy with my career. Absolutely. I'm just trying to take it slow and just flow with the river, what's coming. I've had quite a few auditions, I mean, you're not going to get every audition, of course, but I'm still auditioning. I'm still, putting myself out there. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
I love that.
no, yeah, that's the right attitude because we hear it all the time. The job is auditioning. The getting the gig is just the extra. You're right. If you're an actor, the job is auditioning because it's 99% auditioning, and then you get the role. And I think though that just hearing you talk, you clearly have a passion for it. You clearly have enjoyed it, and what you're doing. So I think you're going to be extremely successful moving forward in the future. You're going to see a lot of success continue. One, because I think it's the right attitude. You bring in, you say, I'm just going to be myself. I'm Tommy. I'm coming as Tommy. I'm going to just do what I do. And I think that's how you keep it real as an actor and see success. And I love that you said that Marty's like that. Like, he's not going to chop your head off. You just say, if it sounds good and it works, yes. If it doesn't, no. It's a yes or no. It's not anything bad. So I think your approach is fantastic, and I think it's going to just continue to lead to much success for you. And yeah, just congratulations, man. What an inspiring story to be able to come out and just say, hey, 2,500 people, no problem. Got this.
Got this.
I'm just going to go.
Yeah.
That's fantastic,
Thank you
man.
guys. Thank
Yeah.
y'all so much, man. Won the lottery, I guess. I don't know.
Ah, dude. Us too
You're
with this
doing
interview,
great.
man. Us too with this
Yeah,
interview. You've been absolutely
seriously.
awesome to talk to.
Thank you.
Exactly. We always we like to talk about different pieces of advice that we've learned throughout our years of doing this podcast. And one of the key crucial ones that we learned from one of our past guests, because we've been doing this for about 157 episodes, and you are guests like 213, 214, something like that, around there. And one of the biggest pieces of advice specifically for actors came from a fellow actor named Tony Winters, and he thinks about the casting process kind of like a car dealership. And so you're a car, and a casting agent or a producer or a director, they're the person looking for a car. And you're a BMW, and maybe that day they're looking for a Mercedes. But don't worry, because there's going to be people coming around that are looking for that BMW. So that's a great way to think about it, to keep your spirits high and to keep moving forward. I've always loved that piece of advice. So I just wanted to pass that along to you, with you being a newer actor. But I mean, it looks like you don't need any advice, man. You're doing pretty good.
Pretty good.
You're doing pretty good.
Well, I will take that piece of advice. I like that. That is very good. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I love that. I love that. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for your time today. It's been an absolute blast. Open invite. Anytime you ever want to come back on the show to promote anything, or, just talk. We talk about the industry news every single week. We have a top 5 segment that we do. Top 5 Leonardo DiCaprio movies have been one of our top 5 one time. And we just like to have fun. So open invite. Anytime you ever want to come back on, please don't hesitate to reach out. I think we just followed you on Instagram, so you can direct message us there. But yeah, I'm super excited to watch your career grow.
Oh, thank you very much. And hey, open invite to you guys too. If you're ever in Oklahoma, come by the gym, man.
Heck yeah,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Listen, man, I
Do
think we
some
need to
rolling.
hire this guy, Logan. I think we need to cast him in something, because we're filmmakers
Right.
also. So we've got a lot of projects in development, and I want this guy on set, man. I think
Right.
he'd be a blast, man.
Come on, I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm
and we'll
ready.
shoot it in
Give me what you
Oklahoma.
got.
Like, I mean, it just seems like a no-brainer. Let's go.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Of course, of course.
Of course. Well, listen, man, again, thank you again so much. Take care, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely, gentlemen. Thank y'all for having me, man. It was a pleasure, and thank you for the opportunity.
Of course,
Of
man.
course, of course. Have a great rest of your night.
You too. See you guys later.
All right. Now talk about inspiring, man. That guy. I mean, first time out, working on such an amazing, huge film, and then getting cast in his next film with Lou Diamond Phillips.
I
I'm really
mean-
excited to watch this guy's career grow.
I think just an amazing, amazing story. And I really do think it's cool, because how many people get to say your first time out that you got to experience how it used to be and now what's the norm, right?
Right.
If you've been doing it for a long time, of course, because you knew how it was and you had to transform into what it is. But for your first time out to go, oh yeah, I got the last tail end of this, and then I'm all in on this new stuff. I mean, that's amazing. And also, I think one thing that any of our people that are trying to get into the industry as an actor should take away from what he said: never be scared to ask a question. Never, if it's Marty fucking Scorsese or first time director, don't be scared to ask a question, because like he said, it's a yes or no. That's the worst that can happen. It's a yes or a no. I thought that was really solid advice, that this guy, it's the first time he's ever on a set, first acting gig ever, and he's saying something to Marty, saying, you mind if I try this a little different? Marty fucking Scorsese. That's fucking fantastic, bro.
Completely agree. Well, Tommy, thank you again for coming on the show.